A lot of our designs, so much of them are inspired by Yunnan province, are inspired by, the rice terraces and the mountains in Yunnan, inspired by local minority culture, the patterns, the weaving, the textiles they generate, the local nature. There's just infinite inspiration there, and that's where a lot of our designs come from. My name's Andrew Shirman, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois in the US. In China, I do social enterprise and charity work. I started an NGO called Education in Sight, and we work in the countryside of China to bring eye doctors to schools, give eye exams to students, and then give them free eyeglasses. And then we also started a social enterprise called Mantra, which is one of China's first buy one, donate one eyewear brands. I came from the Midwest, and the closest I had ever come to China was eating Chinese food at the local Cantonese restaurant. Where I come from in Illinois, if you point in a direction, I can tell you everything you'll see and everything you'll experience for 100 miles, probably 500 miles. There's just no surprises there. But I came to China, and literally every time I was on the street, I would turn the corner, there would be something I had never seen before, something I had questions about, something that fascinated me, and I just had to experience more. There's this energy cost, personal energy cost to just getting through a day in China. Beijing is a city of 21 million people? As a civilization, we're still figuring out how to deal with that. And so I feel there's just, every single thing there is just a frustration. But things move fast, it's exciting, and it's an incredible city to be in, don't get me wrong. Beijing is it's like a bad relationship. The good days are great, the bad days are bad, and you never know which one you're gonna get. It feels so good when it's good, you can't say no to it. Beijing is the fastest moving city, one of the fastest moving cities in the world right now. Every time I go back to the US, even to a San Francisco or a New York, things just kind of feel slower there. They feel less dynamic. Beijing is a city that needs to be experienced. Things happen so quick. The opportunities, the culture, the learning, the challenges, it's just a wild place to be right now. My favorite thing about Beijing is the people, hands down. For the foreign community that lives here, and for the Chinese community that's involved in the international community, even just the local community, there's just so many interesting stories, so many people to know. Living in Beijing for so long I love it because I've met so many people, made so many friends from everywhere else in the world that have also come to China. When I'm back home, when I'm in Chicago or San Francisco, Illinois, wherever, I'm basically hanging out with Americans all the time. Here, my friends are Italian, French, Southeast Asian, Japanese, South American. It's such a diverse community. I've learned so much about the rest of the world just by living here, and I love it for that. It's been a challenge to establish a business in China. Language is a big part of that. Most of the process takes place in Chinese. And so you really need to find Chinese help to help register and make something successful. And then also, just like any country, if you register a business or you're doing any type of work here, you need to know local laws, regulations, HR, compliance, and there's a lot of things that are just very different that you need to pay attention to and need to know about in China. Like certain policies, the way paying for insurance and paying for salaried employees works here. It's not doing it in the US. So that has been a real kind of learning curve, just making sure we're getting all of that right all the time. We tried running this project in the US, and it was just almost impossible to do that. The system is really decentralized. There's a lot of regulations, so everything is a process, and everything is, we found the US actually more bureaucratic, ironically, and it was much more difficult to run our project there than it has been in China, where you have somebody's support and you're able to just, boom, go fast. There's a lot of challenges in China for a foreigner. I think that China really has its own way of doing things when it comes to pretty much everything. and kind of getting, spending time in China, getting used to the systems, the way of thinking, the way things happen. It just, it's so different from the West. The way you get around a city, the way you interact with people, the way you order food and what your expectations are. All of that, you just need to spend time getting used to it, and I think kind of having an open mind and being humble about things. Anybody who wants to do business in China, whether it's their own brand or bring another brand here or whatever, is don't do it by yourself. Find help on the ground, find Chinese help. The language barrier, the business knowledge, how to work inside Chinese system, it's difficult, if not impossible, for a foreigner or for an American or anyone to do that successfully. You really need people on the ground to support that.